Hello there, Darlene. Just checking in to make sure you took your dose of the supplement I gave you today. Remember, you have to take it every day or else it won't have any effect at all. So you should never, ever allow yourself to exceed 24 hours between doses, under any circumstances.
Yes, Mom, I took my dose today, just like I have every single day for the last 3 months. Thanks for checking in with me. Again.
That's excellent to hear. So tell me, how are you feeling? Any signs of pregnancy? Morning sickness? Weight gain?
Sorry, Mom, but nothing to report today. Just like every other day for the last 3 months. But once again, thank you so much for checking on me like this.
I see. Have you considered taking a pregnancy test anyway, just to be sure? It might be that you just don't realize the symptoms that you're experiencing.
No, I am 100% sure that I am not pregnant.
This is so utterly bizarre. I read online that the supplement you're taking is a highly effective fertility enhancer. I looked around town for that supplement for weeks, but not one single drugstore in a 20-mile radius had it in stock, so I had to buy it online.
I'm really grateful that you would go to such lengths to help me, Mom, and I'm sorry you went to all that trouble for nothing.
If you've been taking it for this long to no effect, then I guess there's only one conclusion. Your reproductive organs must be defective. It's like putting new batteries in a flashlight that has no light bulb inside of it. Dear me, what am I to do? At this rate, I feel like I may just have to give up entirely on ever having grandchildren. I'm trying to remember. How old are you, Darlene?
I just turned 28 this year.
My goodness gracious. Sakes alive, are you really that old already? I suppose it has been 3 years now since you and my son got married. The older a woman gets, the more difficult it is to get pregnant. Maybe it's time for me to throw in the towel.
I don't know. I'd say it's far too soon to give up hope entirely. Women are having kids later and later these days. I know a lot of women who gave birth in their late 30s even. What I hear from other women around my age is that most women will get pregnant within about 5 years of trying. So Drew and I definitely still have a chance of giving you the grandchild you've always wanted.
And how long are you going to keep me waiting, Darlene?
Well, as much as I'd like to be able to tell you, I just don't know. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but all I can say is it'll happen when it happens.
I know that medical knowledge has made great advancements since my day, but we still need to face reality. Women don't become more fertile as they age, Darlene. It's all downhill from here. And let's not forget that older women carry a higher risk of giving birth to children with abnormalities, defects, diseases, and all that. Is that what you want, Darlene? A diseased, deformed, defective child? It's best for women to give birth while they're young. Nothing good comes of an old woman having a child.
But that's just an increased risk, though. Every pregnancy carried at least some risk in these sorts of things. I feel like everyone tacitly accepts those risks when they set out to have a child.
I accept no such risks. Remember, this is my grandchild we're talking about. I'll accept nothing less than a strong, healthy, normal baby. How could I be affectionate toward a defective child? Any love I felt for it would be outweighed by pity.
Mom, please, don't talk like that.
You're right. There's no point in worrying about such things. After all, you seem to be completely incapable of giving birth to any child at all, much less a healthy one. So why did I have to be cursed with such a useless daughter-in-law?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mom.
You should have come out and told me you were as barren as the Sahara Desert before you got married. Now I'm stuck with defective goods and an expired warranty. And poor Drew, he must be absolutely heartbroken.
I had a fertility screening done and they didn't find anything out of the ordinary with me. I never would have thought that we would be trying unsuccessfully for this long.
I don't need any of your excuses, Darlene. All I need for you to do is what you should have done a long time ago. I think you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
It sounds like you're trying to tell me to divorce Drew.
It's not just me you should be worrying about. Drew wants to have a child while he's still young as well. You need to stop wasting that boy's precious time. I will not sit idly by while you waste away the best years of his life, and mine as well.
I don't know what to say, Mom. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Why didn't you ever introduce me to your younger sister before?
You mean Marlene? I didn't know the two of you were acquainted.
I just met her a little while ago. She is such a lovely young woman, and I'm surprised that you two came from the same bloodline.
Wait, so you have met? That's odd. I haven't heard anything from Marlene for several years now. No calls, no texts, nothing at all.
Is that so? And why is that? Did the two of you have a falling out?
Well, I guess you could say that, and we've never had that great of a relationship. Our past is complicated, to say the least.
And it's entirely your fault, I presume.
What makes you say that?
It's obvious, Darlene. There's no way a girl so sweet and kind as Marlene could ever cause any trouble. I doubt there's anyone in the world who has a single negative thing to say about her other than you. She's a real charmer, that Marlene.
I'm confused. Are you sure this is my sister that you're talking about?
I'm positive.
All right. And where did you happen to meet her?
By sheer coincidence, we both were in the waiting room of my favorite massage parlor at the same time. She tells me that she's a regular patron there herself. I didn't realize she was your sister at first, though. But when the receptionist called her, she called her Marlene. It all came back to me. Plus, the two of you look an awful lot alike.
Wow, you remembered my sister's name?
I've always been good at remembering people's names, and it was particularly easy in your case. Darlene and Marlene? They're so similar. I don't know how your mother could remember which one was which.
Huh. Well, okay then. So what did you and my sister talk about?
All sorts of things. We had such a good time talking to each other that once we were both done with our massages, we went out to a cafe for a cup of tea. We were chatting there for about 2 hours.
You were talking for that long?
And I must say, she's a far more interesting conversation partner than you. I haven't had that much fun talking to a person in ages. I think I may just go and introduce her to Drew as well.
I would really prefer that you didn't.
Really? And why would that be? After all, since Marlene is your sister, that makes her Drew's sister-in-law, right? What's wrong with a man getting to know his own wife's family?
I'm sure that you and Marlene had an absolutely wonderful time together. She's very, very good at getting people to like her. But it's all a front. The truth is that she's nothing but trouble. She's always been that way ever since she was a little kid. I would strongly recommend that you don't interact with her anymore. There is a very good reason we haven't been in contact for all these years, and I'd like to keep it this way.
It's so bizarre to me that you'd say that. She didn't seem that way to me at all.
That's exactly my point. She's very good at disguising her true nature.
I see. That's exactly what I thought you would say.
Huh? What do you mean?
Marlene told me all about you, Darlene. She told me that you would tell me all sorts of lies in order to make yourself seem better. And she was right. You just made up all that nonsense in order to give me a negative impression of her. You're such a bitter, mean-spirited girl, Darlene.
I'm not lying, though. That's the truth. You can even ask my parents about her if you want. They'll tell you that everything I'm saying is correct. They had to deal with even more of her nonsense than I did.
Ha! You're not going to fool me so easily. Marlene told me that your parents were the same as you. They always favored you over her just because you were their first child. How pitiful the three of you are. You're so jealous of how well-liked Marlene is by everyone around her that you tell cruel lies to try and hurt her image.
That's not true. You have to believe me. She's the one who's lying.
Let's assume for a moment that you are telling the truth. Not that I believe it for a second, mind you. But even if she was a bit of a problem child, what difference does that make? She's an adult now. And the adult Marlene that I met the other day is nothing like what you want me to believe she is.
Do you really think so? Frankly, I find it hard to believe. But who knows? Maybe she did do some introspection in the last several years since we've spoken.
I'm glad you admit that. Now stop spreading those ugly lies about her. That's defamation, you know. Good morning, Darlene. I've got tremendous news.
What is it?
Your sister Marlene is pregnant.
Wow, really?
But wait, it gets better.
Oh? How so?
Drew is the father.
Wait, Drew? As in, my Drew? My husband Drew is the father of Marlene's baby?
That's right. Do you know any other Drews in the area?
Drew is my husband. Why is my sister pregnant with my husband's child?
Because the two of them have been dating for the last several months. They hit it off right away. They were talking about getting married just a few weeks after meeting. And after seeing how quickly Marlene got pregnant, I'd say they're compatible in more ways than one.
What is the meaning of this? Since when have the two of them been dating, and how do you know about all of this?
Isn't it obvious? I'm the one who set them up on their first date. I just knew they'd get along swimmingly.
How could you do something like this to me?
Oh, shut up, Darlene. Don't pretend like you're the innocent victim here. This is your fault for failing to give me a grandchild. You can't blame me for finding a more suitable woman for my son. And my, oh my, was she ever suitable. You were trying to have a baby for what seemed like forever, but she got pregnant right away.
I don't believe this. You genuinely feel like you've done nothing wrong?
Not a thing. Like I said, you will have no one to blame for yourself. Do you have any idea how much I'd suffer these 3 long years waiting for a grandchild that never came? Those are 3 years that Drew and I will never get back, you filthy little thief. It's such a shame. If only Drew had met Marlene before you.
Fine then. Extend my best wishes to the happy couple. I'm sure there's nothing left for me to do but leave as soon as possible.
Within the day if possible. Pack your things up immediately and, if you wouldn't mind, be a dear and tidy up the house before you go. I want it to be neat and tidy for when your darling little sister moves in.
Tell the two of them they'll be hearing from my lawyer in short order.
A lawyer? What for?
What else? I'm suing them.
Suing them? You can't sue them for anything. It's your fault for being as infertile as a rock.
It doesn't matter why they had an affair. All that matters is that they did. I am well within my legal rights to sue for alienation of affection and to recover the costs that I'll incur from having to move on a moment's notice.
Whatever. Do what you will. Drew makes good money. They'll have no trouble paying whatever pittance your lawyer manages to extract from him. Really, though, demanding money as you get shown the door? What a bitter, lowly woman you are. I knew I was right to introduce Marlene to Drew. Both of us will be much happier when you're gone.
Good luck living with my sister, then. Just know that whatever comes next, you deserve every single bit of it.
Indeed I will. I have always deserved to be the mother-in-law to a decent, charming, lovely girl who isn't a dried-up, useless waste of the female form.
You're going to be in for a rude awakening one of these days, and when that happens, don't come crying to me for help.
Trust me, you don't need to worry about that at all. I have no interest in ever speaking to you for the rest of my life. Now, if I may make one final request, don't be a sore loser. You lost fair and square to a superior woman. Don't take out your frustrations on Marlene. If you even think about doing something to harm my darling Marlene, I will destroy you. Do I make myself clear?
Wow, I don't remember you ever getting this protective of me. You must like Marlene an awful lot, huh?
And why wouldn't I? She's the woman who's carrying my dear little grandchild in her belly.
I'm only messaging you right now for one specific reason. After this is done, I will immediately go back to forgetting you exist. Talk to Marlene and tell her to stop sending me her ultrasound pictures in the mail. That is all.
What's the problem, Darlene? All Marlene wants is to share the joy and the precious gift of life with her beloved older sister.
Exactly how do you expect me to find joy in any of this? My husband cheated on me with my own little sister and got her pregnant. I feel an awful lot of things every time I get one of those things in the mail, but joy isn't one of them.
Maybe she just wants to reassure you that your ex-husband's baby is fine and well.
Oh yeah, thanks so much. That's very reassuring. I see all of you are just as comically evil as ever.
What's comically evil is you deceiving my son into thinking you are worthy of being considered a woman. It's your own fault that you got kicked to the curb, Darlene. Don't you dare forget that you wasted 3 whole years of our lives.
You want to know what wasting 3 years feels like? It feels like waking up one day and finding out that your husband is a lying, cheating scumbag. Your mother-in-law is a sociopathic monster, and your little sister is just as much of a backstabbing slut as she's always been. That's what 3 wasted years feels like.
There you go again, always having to feel like you're the victim. You never change.
You might be right, but let me remind you, Marlene doesn't change either. I recommend you don't let your guard down around her. You're really going to regret it.
What do you mean?
I mean just what I said. I've already told you what a nuisance my sister always was. And that's not all in the past, like you seem to think it is. Think about it. She stole her sister's husband, got pregnant with his baby, and is sending a constant stream of ultrasound pictures to me in the mail. Doesn't that seem a little, I don't know, diabolical to you?
Not in the slightest. She's done all for me that I ever wanted. She's given me a grandchild. I'm not concerned about any of the minor details.
I think you'd be a bit more concerned if you knew as much about her history as I do. Like, for example, her history with men.
That does it. I'm not participating in this conversation any longer. I won't sit here and listen to you defame my beautiful daughter-in-law like this. I'm not even mad. I'm mostly just incredibly sad for you. You've been absolutely destroyed by your jealousy toward your sister.
If that's what you want to think, be my guest. You'll come to see the truth sooner or later.
Darlene, do you have a moment? I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling me a bit more about Marlene. I believe you mentioned she had a bit of history with men.
I thought you didn't believe me.
I didn't, at least not back then. But there have been some developments since we last spoke.
Oh yeah? What sort of developments?
It seems that Marlene's been having an affair.
Yeah, I know. I was on the receiving end of that, remember?
No, I'm not referring to her relationship with Drew.
Oh, you mean...
Yes, she was with another man besides Drew. We just got a letter in the mail from a lawyer representing that man's wife. She's suing us.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. This wouldn't be the first time she's done this.
But it seems that this affair happened before she and Drew started dating. She's his wife now, so he thought he had no choice but to take responsibility and pay a settlement to avoid Marlene having to go to court. We thought that would be the end of it, but then we got another letter in the mail.
And let me guess, it was from a lawyer representing the wife of another man she's had an affair with.
Yes, it was almost the exact same situation as the previous one, with one important difference. This wasn't a past relationship of hers. This affair was much more recent.
As in, current?
I'm afraid so. But Drew emptied his savings to pay the settlement for the first lawsuit. So this time around, I had to dip into my retirement account to pay her off. We've been completely cleared out. If this happens one more time, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say. I tried to tell you she was nothing but trouble. And her particular brand of trouble involves men. Typically married men.
But I don't understand. Why is she like this?
I don't know. I guess she just gets a thrill from taking something that belongs to someone else. The fact that she can get these men, who are supposed to be loyal to another woman, to sleep with her makes her feel wanted and appreciated. And I hate to tell you this, but your worst fears are going to come true. She's had far more affairs than just those two.
Is that just a hunch, or do you know this for a fact? You sure seem like you're confident.
I have a pretty good idea of how many men she's messed around with up until now.
You do? But how? I thought you said you weren't speaking for years.
I had her checked out. It kept bothering me how you seemed so sure that she had changed her ways when the Marlene I knew could never give up her old habits. I was certain that she was the exact same sort of woman she's always been. I wouldn't be satisfied until I knew for sure which of us was right, so I hired a private detective and found my answer.
A private detective? They don't come cheap.
And it was worth every penny. I cannot stress enough to you how angry I was when Drew cheated on me. Long story short, I found out that Marlene is currently having an affair with no fewer than 8 men.
8? She's seeing 8 men right now?
Out of those 8, 6 are married, and I took the liberty of contacting their wives. I thought they might like to know what their husbands have been up to.
Wait, you're the one who told them? Then you're the reason that we've now had to pay for settlements with 2 women so far?
All I did was tell them the truth that they deserved to know. Once I found out, did you expect me to just stay quiet and let those poor women continue to be abused by unfaithful men? No, I'm not about to let that happen. Justice must be served.
But you said 6 of our partners were married. That means there are still 4 more lawsuits coming our way. This is terrible. Drew's savings were completely wiped out, and my retirement account won't last much longer at this rate.
Frankly, I'm surprised Drew had enough to cover the first one after he had to pay for my lawsuit against him. I'm not privy to the plans of the remaining 4 women, but I'd say you should be capable of paying off at least 1 or 2, right?
But that money was supposed to support me in my retirement. You know, Social Security isn't enough to live on. If I lose all my savings, how am I supposed to get by?
You'll just have to come together as a family and support each other through this difficult time. Remember, you've got your grandchild to take care of now.
Hold on. If she was really sleeping with 8 men, doesn't that mean there's a chance that the baby isn't Drew's?
Why did it take you this long to realize that? If I were in your position, that's the first thing I would have thought about.
But if the baby really isn't Drew's, then we just spent tens of thousands of dollars paying off the wives of her boyfriends for nothing.
Yep. But hey, what if you decided not to worry about minor details like whose baby it really is and just raise it like your own anyway? After all, Marlene is a charming, sweet, lovely, decent woman who's perfect for Drew, isn't she?
I had no idea that this is what she was really like. I have no interest in raising the child of some loose woman if that child isn't even mine.
You can try and divorce her if you want, but trust me, she is not going to go away quietly without a fight. You'd better be prepared for a long, drawn-out, and costly legal battle with her.
You mean to tell me she'll fight getting a divorce even though she's cheating on Drew with 8 other men? What kind of monster is she?
She's exactly the kind of monster I tried to tell you that she was. Why do you think no one in our family wanted anything to do with her for all those years?
You never told me about this, though.
I tried my best, but you just wouldn't listen. You just assumed I was jealous of her and was lying to ruin her reputation.
No, why is this happening to me? If I had known this was going to happen, I never would have introduced her to Drew. I'd rather deal with never having a grandchild than lose all of my money.
And now you have to deal with both. Good luck with that. As expected, the lawsuits kept on coming, and my former mother-in-law was forced to empty out her entire retirement account to pay them all off. She tried to get my sister to do a paternity test on the child after the birth, but Marlene adamantly refused. Then, when Drew threatened to divorce her, she called his bluff and countered with a threat to sue for a massive amount in child support. Understandably, that attitude of hers infuriated Drew. I know, I've been there before myself. But in the argument that ensued, Drew did something that I managed to avoid doing: lose his temper. I'll spare you the details, but long story short, Marlene had to go to the hospital and get a few stitches. That was exactly what she wanted to happen. Now, not only will Drew never get the chance to prove that Marlene's baby isn't his, he's also now looking at facing both civil and criminal punishment for a fight Marlene started. But enough about those losers. While they were wallowing in self-inflicted misery, I met a wonderful man and got married. And guess what? I'm pregnant. I've never been happier and have a completely positive outlook on the future for the first time in forever.